Perfect. Okay. This week's main selection story is titled, So You Want to Be President. And they got this here picture of GW, George Washington. Now, if it didn't load all the way, that's weird. Because why would we ever want technology to work correctly?
I don't know.
Who knows, right? You know. There we go. There he is. He got one shoe off. The dog's looking at it. There's his feet. The genre this week is expository text. You can see that down the page at the bottom of page 290. It says that expository text gives information about real people and as you read, note new or surprising information about our country's president. So we're going to learn some stuff about the presidents. So expository nonfiction texts are often organized by text features such as headings. So as we're reading this, let's look and see if there's headings that separate different pieces of information from each other. They may have quotations or photos to go along with, and captions to help readers gain an overview of the topic. So, the purpose of our reading this today, or the next couple days, reading this expository text is going to be to gain knowledge about our U.S. presidents. So what's our goal?
Gain knowledge about our U.S. president.
Okay, so here's our question of the week. So you wanna be president? By Judith St. George and illustrated by David Small. Question of the week. What is the job of the President of the United States? That is our question for the week. So if you think you have an answer for it right now, maybe don't answer it quite yet. Maybe we'll learn a few things. All right, here we go. First section. It says, there are good things about being president, and there are bad things about being president. Oh, are you following? Make sure you're following along. Elizabeth, what?
The people are still on the screen.
Oh, the recording, yeah, it's probably blocking it. Elizabeth, that's a good call. Thank you for stopping me because we probably missed some things there. Whoops. One with Zoom. Okay, let's start over at the top. Make sure you're following along. There are good things about being president, and there are bad things about being president. One of the good things is that the president lives in a big white house called the
White House.
Another good thing about being president is that the president has a swimming pool,
Bowling alley,
and movie theater. The president never has to take out the garbage. The president doesn't have to eat yucky vegetables. As a boy, George H.W. Bush had to eat broccoli. When George H.W. Bush grew up, he became president. That was the end of the broccoli. You know, the funny thing is that I don't think that that's necessarily just for presidents. Like when you're an adult, you kind of get a choice of whether or not you want to eat certain things.
Yeah.
But I mean, probably doesn't hurt to be president either. One of the bad things about being president is that the president always has to be
Dressed up.
William McKinley wore a frock coat, vest, pinstriped trousers, stiff white shirt, black satin tie, gloves, a
Top hat.
and a red carnation in his buttonhole every day. Wow. The president has to be polite to
Everyone.
The president can't go anywhere alone. The president has lots of homework. People get mad at the president. Someone once threw a cabbage at William Howard Taft. That didn't bother Taft. He quipped, "I see that one of my adversaries has lost his head."
What's an adversary?
Well, that's going to be one of the questions I ask you in a minute. Lots of people want to be president. If you want to be president, it might help if your name is James. 6 presidents were named James. President Carter liked to be called Jimmy. 4 Johns, 4 Williams. President Clinton liked to be called Bill. 3 Georges, 2 Andrews, and 2 Franklins all became president. There's an illustration of William Howard Taft holding a head of cabbage, and as you can see, they've made the cabbage look like a head. It looks like somebody's face is on it. Isn't that silly?
Yeah,
How silly is that?
Okay.
Okay,
Too silly.
so the word adversaries might be a word that you don't know. If we look up adversaries in the dictionary, does anybody know what the word adversary means? What does it mean if someone's your adversary? Falcon.
Means like the people that are doing
Okay, that's not quite what an adversary is. Someone who's your adversary is what, Macy?
you're like enemy.
It's your enemy. An adversary is an enemy or an opponent. So, sometimes it can be an enemy. It can be somebody that you just don't like. But sometimes, like when you're playing sports, you maybe don't hate the team you're playing against, but they're still your adversary because they're your opponent. And in politics, your adversary might be the people who you're running against and their supporters, right? You may not necessarily hate them, but they're your opponent. Make sense? So why do you think, okay, listen, Hadley, we're up here, we're discussing all together right now, so I need you here. Why do you think President Taft used the word adversary during the speech? Why would he use the word adversary? Okay, talk with a shoulder partner. In this case, because I don't want people getting up and walking around the room so much. Elizabeth, you're gonna, Braxton, I don't know what I'm gonna do here. Just talk to somebody close. We'll figure it out. You might have to be a group of 3. Braxton, why did you decide to use the word adversary?
He might not like him.
Okay, might not have liked him. Braylon, why did you use the word adversary?
Because he could have used it because he might not, he might like him, but he might not like it's his opponent. So
Okay. Delia, how about you? Anything?
I think Delia left.
Okay. Bye, Delia.
yeah, I don't see her.
Ava. Yeah, if they wouldn't have thrown a cabbage at him, you probably wouldn't have called him an adversary. But would your friend throw a cabbage at you? Do friends throw? Okay, Elizabeth, think before you just start blurting things out, okay? Would a friend probably throw a cabbage at you?
No.
Probably not. It's probably an enemy, right? Or an opponent. In this case, probably someone who didn't like him very much. And rather than saying enemy, adversary is kind of more of a fun word to use, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. What do the illustrations and surrounding sentences on page 93 tell about the meaning of the word whipped? So we maybe don't know what the word whip means, but look at the picture. We got President Taft here holding a head of cabbage. We have people standing around, and he says up here that I see that one of my adversaries has lost his head. What does it tell us about the word whipped? Is it with a partner or partners? Ready? Go. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. It says,
It doesn't bother Taft. He quit.
yeah, it does say whipped in there. Okay, what does it tell us about the meaning of the word quipped, Parker? You think it might mean bragged? Brad? Grabbed, might mean grabbed, okay. Gavin? You said what Parker said? You said grab? It's not grab. Brax, what do you think quip means?
Like stated. Said.
Okay. You're right. It has something to do with saying because it says he quipped and then there's in quotation marks it says what he said. So quipped is a way of saying something, but if you quip something, how are you saying it, do you think? Elizabeth. It's a little bit like a sarcastic joke because think about this. The next question is, what does the expression lost his head mean? If someone said, you lost your head there, what is it? What do they mean when they say you lost your head? McKinsey, what does it mean if you lose your head?
I didn't mean like fine.
Yeah, you've gone insane. You're out of control, right? And if someone were to throw cabbage at you, they've maybe lost their mind a little bit or lost their head in that moment. So a quip is like a funny, maybe sarcastic joke of like a head of cabbage. He was quick enough to quip and make a joke and say, it looks like somebody lost their head. Meaning they lost it. It's double meaning, right? They lost their head of cabbage, but they probably are also out of control in that moment. So you guys see why that's kind of funny? Yeah, I joked about it too, which might have given you a hint.
Is that actually
Yeah, this is expository text, so it's based on real events. Remember, we talked about that. It's even on the video. It's recorded. You can go home and watch it on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to be a president, your size doesn't matter. Presidents have come in all shapes and sizes. Abraham Lincoln was the tallest. He was 6 feet 4 inches. His stovepipe hat made him look even taller. So 6'4" is like 3 inches taller than me. So he would have been like right. So he was pretty tall. James Madison was the smallest. He was 5 feet 4 inches tall and only 100 pounds. So that would be, I'm 6'1", so take about 7 inches off. So top of his head would have been like right here. So his eyes would have been like right here. I would have looked down at him. Physically, I would have looked down at him because I would have been 7 inches taller. William Howard Taft was the biggest. He was more than 300 pounds. He was so big that he had a special built for his White House bathroom. 4 men could fit in the tub. In fact, he got stuck in the bathtub in the White House. The original, so that's why you had to get a new tub. He was so big. Well, because like tubs today are really big, but in olden times, bathrooms weren't built like they. I mean, you think about it, as old as the White House is, did it always have running water?
No.
No, it didn't always have like water that ran. So there's been lots of remodeling done to the White House. So the tubs, and you would have to do some research on this, but the tubs to have a bath, you would have to go out and get the water and then warm the water up and put it in the tub. You couldn't just pull the faucet and let water go in it. And I don't remember the exact years that Taft was president, but it could very well be. So think about that. If you had this big giant tub, it would take a lot of water to fill that up, right? So tubs were generally smaller so that you didn't need as much water to fill them up. Understand? Taft is a very big man. So the little tub that was probably in there, even if there was running water at the time, if it was still the old tub or the original tub, probably pretty small, right? We're off on a side tangent. Though the, we can do better. Though the
Constitution.
you'll have to wait until you're 35, young, old, and in between have become president. But the youngest you can be is what? 35. Theodore Teddy Roosevelt at 42 was the youngest. He had pillow fights with his children and played football on the White House lawn. You must always remember that the president is about 6, a friend said. Ronald Reagan was the oldest. When he first ran for president, he was 69. He joked that it was the 30th anniversary of his 39th birthday. He's not the oldest president now, I believe it might
Is that
be.
the short guy?
Yeah, that's that's Teddy Roosevelt.
What? Donald Trump?
Siri, who's the oldest president ever? I think it's Biden.
Biden's like 80.
Who is the oldest person elected president? That's not right. All right, here, I'm gonna do it differently. How old is Joe Biden? 77. So Joe Biden would be your oldest president. How old is Donald Trump? 74. Joe Biden is your oldest president.
Wow.
Now,
You look pretty old.
now, so he was elected at 69. He served 8 years. No matter what happens, Biden will be your oldest president of all.
What if there's an 80-year-old president?
Well, as of right now, Mackenzie, you gotta use your common sense here. I'm not talking about forever, but yep. Well, that's because he's wearing glasses. It's supposed to be Teddy Roosevelt. Do you have pest? Oh, I can't read because everyone's like, you good now? Okay, here we go. Do you have pesky brothers and sisters? Every one of our presidents did. Benjamin Harrison takes the prize. He had 11. It's lucky he grew up on a 600-acre farm. James Polk and James Buchanan both had 9. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and John Kennedy each had 8. 2 presidents were orphans, Andrew Jackson and Herbert Hoover. A president in your family tree is a plus. John Quincy Adams was John Adams' son. George W. Bush, Chase, you can't be following along. And this is the second time now that I've stopped. So the next time I'm going to pull up the dojo. George W. Bush was the son of George H.W. Theodore Roosevelt and Franklin Roosevelt were 5th cousins. Benjamin Harrison was William Harrison's grandson. James Madison and Zachary Taylor were 2nd cousins. I didn't know that last one. Okay, On page 294, the text tells about presidents who are very different from one another. What does the author say that makes you think so? What does the author say that lets you know that presidents can be different from each other? Find it, see if you can find it. Rajan, what does the author say? $294, what page it's on? Okay. Yep, and it literally says that the presidents come in all shapes and sizes, and also they are young. Nope, it doesn't say that. It says young, old, in between. Okay, I think we may be getting a little sleepy. We need to maybe wake ourselves up a little bit. Okay, the author's main purpose for writing this selection is to explain. What additional purpose? So I'm telling you, the main purpose is to explain things. What additional purpose might she have had? What might be her other purpose? Share with a partner. Go ahead. All right, so what might be the other purpose, Raylyn? Raylyn, you might be on mute.
Yeah,
What might be the author's other purpose?
to inform.
Okay, we talked about that, to explain or to inform. So, yep, that's one of them. What might be the other one, Danielle? I don't think this one's to express. Blake? Yeah, this is to entertain. Aren't these things kind of fun to learn? They're like fun facts, right? Well, but isn't that the explain?
And the pictures are really funny.
There you go. Do you have a pet? All kinds of pets have lived in the White House, mostly dogs. Herbert Hoover had 3 dogs, Piney, Snowflake, and Tut must have been a Democrat. He and his Republican master never got along. Republicans and Democrats don't get along. Franklin Roosevelt's dog, Fala, was almost as famous as his owner. George H.W. Bush's dog wrote Millie's book, Adventures of a White House Dog, as reported to Mrs. Bush. Ulysses Grant had horses. Benjamin Harrison's goat pulled his grandchildren around in a cart. The Coolidges had a pet raccoon. Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton preferred cats. Theodore Roosevelt's children didn't have any pets. They ran a zoo. They had dogs, cats, guinea pigs, mice, rats, badgers, raccoons, parrots, and a Shetland pony called Algonquin. To cheer up his sick brother, young Quentin once took Algonquin upstairs in the White House elevator. Whoa.
When were elevators invented?
Good question.
It couldn't have been those old times. They had the
No, because imagine like I want you to imagine trying to pull yourself up in a whole compartment up by rope and then throw in like 150, 200-pound Shetland pony. It couldn't have been. Yeah, couldn't have been. Though most presidents went to college, 9 didn't. George Washington, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, Grover Cleveland, and Harry Truman. Andrew Johnson couldn't read until he was 14. He didn't learn to write until after he was married. Hey, let me ask you this though. Do you think you'd get elected president if you didn't go to college now? If Harry Truman is the last one, Harry Truman was president at the end of World War II. So that was like in the 1940s. It's been a long time since, it's been almost 80 years since we've had a president who didn't go to college.
Wow.
Yeah, and most of them were even before that, like George Washington was the first, Andrew Jackson, I don't remember exactly what number he is, but he's probably before Martin Van Buren. Martin Van Buren, I think, is 8. Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Abraham Lincoln was what, the 16th president? Andrew Johnson was after him, so that's the 17th. But they're just telling you about Andrew Johnson. So the point is, if you want to be president now, probably got to go to college, guys. And, well, all of you can read and you're younger than 14, so you're doing well. Let's just say if Andrew Johnson were alive today and followed the same path, you're further along being president than probably you. Thomas Jefferson was top-notch in the Thomas Jefferson was top-notch in the brains department. He was an expert on agriculture, law, politics, music. Oh, mine wasn't highlighted. I'm sorry. He was an expert on agriculture, law,
Politics.
music, geography, surveying, philosophy, and botany. In his spare time, he designed his house, a mansion, founded the University of Virginia, and whipped up the Declaration of Independence. Okay, it says President Hoover was a Republican, and the other main political party is the Democratic Party. Why does the author say that the dog Tut was a Democrat? Macy. Okay, why does that matter? Why? A lot of people probably don't get along with the pets all the time. Democrats and Republicans generally don't get along or agree on many things, so it was kind of a joke. Very good. All right. What is the main idea on page 297? Look at 297, it's the one we just read. And what are 2 supporting details for that? Okay, what's the main idea on 297? What are they trying to tell you, Gavin? Most presidents didn't go to college. It literally says, read the first word on page. Okay, most presidents go to college. What is your proof? Or what are some supporting details? Only 9 of our presidents didn't go to college. That's a good supporting detail. What else is a supporting detail? How else do they tell you that most of the presidents were well educated? Hadley, how else do they tell you that? Excellent. Excellent. Very, in fact, we know he went to college because they list the ones who didn't. So very good. All right. So now what we're going to get out, if you're at home, you're going to get out plural possessives, page 156. And now I'm going to hand it out to the kids here. How did that happen? Oh. All right. Chase, I'm proud of you for the way that you handled it. You look like you're a little shook. You need to take a little walk. I'm proud of the way that you handled that without getting really upset. But if I may offer one suggestion in the future, that's why we set flat. Because we kind of have, not just you, there's a lot of you that have been warned about sitting, there's a lot of you that have been warned about sitting correctly, yes? Yeah. We're lucky it wasn't worse. Porter, put your name, number, and date on it, because yesterday I gave you a sheet, and guess what you didn't do? Yeah, you forgot to do that, didn't you? I don't care. Okay, we're gonna move past it. We're gonna move past it. We're gonna refocus. And we're looking at plural possessive nouns. Plural possessive nouns. So it says a plural possessive noun shows that something is owned or shared by more than one person, place, or thing. In a previous week, we had learned about singular possessive nouns. And generally the rule for singular possessive nouns is just to add apostrophe s. But now this is talking about if the, well, okay, I'll wait. Someone else want to teach it? Okay, thank you. This is talking about if our subject is already plural, so it's more than one. So when you have a plural, like in this case, our park's popularity, so add an apostrophe to a plural noun that ends in s, es, or ies. So make sure you're paying attention and not playing with other things, because these are the rules, and you're going to be the one who comes up and says to me, Mr. I don't get if I'm supposed to do an S or an apostrophe S. This is why you got to pay attention.
Mr. Ross, what page?
156. Okay. 156. It says plural possessive nouns at the top. So if the word ends in an S, an ES, or an IES, so essentially it just ends in an S. You guys see that? They all end in S. Everybody following me? Then you just add an apostrophe. So if you look at our park's popularity, they just wrote P-A-R-K-S, and you put an apostrophe. Now the P shouldn't be uppercase because it's not there. But if I had this, the daisy's yellow petals, yes, I just put an apostrophe. You see that? Okay. Now it says to add an apostrophe S to a plural noun that does not end in S, ES, or IES. So they have, it's the deer's feeding ground. And it's the children's vacation. So essentially, if it doesn't end in S, you go apostrophe S. If it ends with an S, you're just going to put an apostrophe. So let's try this first one. We'll do the first couple together. There's 12 problems here. So on the first one, it says highways, rest stops. You write down how you think that you should do that one. I can find where it is. What's up, buddy? Cool beans. That's pretty neat. All right, I guess I'm just going to use a pen and hope for the best. So, for highways, because it ends in an S, I would just put an apostrophe.
Apostrophe.
Try number 2. Okay, the base is T. Does it end in S, ES, or IES?
No.
So on this one, we would put apostrophe S. Very good. All right, looking down at the bottom. It says choose. I agree with you, actually. But if we were following the rule, I agree with you 100%, actually. So let's take a look. I want to see what they put down because, well, actually, in this case, though, it's not the. It's not. Okay, put this to you. If something belongs individually to each tooth, then it belongs to all. It's the teeths, like all the teeths. You wouldn't say it's the tooths.
Yeah, it's a teeth.
It'd just be teeth.
Maybe because
No, you guys.
I lost 2 teeth. I lost 2 teeth.
Yeah, but that's not a plural possessive. Each tooth, this tooth owns a cavity. This tooth owns a cavity. They're the teeth's cavities. So it does make sense in that respect.
Yeah.
Because it ends with an S. The rules are literally there. I'm following the rules that are literally written there. For the bottom, it says, choose the plural possessive noun to complete each sentence. Write the words on the line. So if you look at the first one, it says, our national parks or parks landscape are known around the world. They want the plural possessive. So the biggest thing here, if you look at parks and parks, are they both plural? But only one is plural possessive. Which one's plural possessive?
The second one.
The second one. So you're going to take that. First thing you do is to make sure it's plural, then make sure it's possessive. Make sense? Okay, that's the last thing for reading today. People here, make sure you still have your science out. People on the Zoom, I'm going to stop the recording, and then you can stay on and ask for help if you need it. Here we go.
Okay.